French Greek, I guess.
Yeah, all day long.
Oh, you're so mean.
Yeah.
All right, John, we ready when you are.
Okay, it's 1 o'clock. I'm going to call the April 15th Board of Commission meeting to order. Today, we're going to have the prayer by Commissioner Sarkella, followed by the pledge by Commissioner Moody.
Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day, for the opportunity to gather in a free country. We're especially grateful for this time of year as we enter the Easter season, and we ask that you would help us to be mindful of all the gifts that you do give us. Be with us in our meeting today, Lord. Allow us to make strong and thoughtful decisions for our friends and neighbors that we serve. And we're especially grateful for all of those in our county that also take care of the same folks that we do. In your most precious Son's name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
20 seconds. We have to start timing each other.
Thank you, everyone. Leslie, roll call, please.
District 1 Chairman John Block,
Present.
District 2 Commissioner Roger Ballard,
Present.
District 3 Commissioner Gary Heberly,
Here.
District 4 Commissioner Bill Sarkella,
Present.
District 5 Commissioner Christine Lee. Here. District 6 Commissioner Evans Ehart is absent. District 7 Commissioner John Moody.
Here.
Thank you, Leslie. Commissioner Ehart did contact me this morning, and let me know he wasn't feeling well, so we'll hope he gets feeling better soon.
I think he has a master's hangover, but that's just my opinion.
Don't
put that in the paper there.
What'd you mean by that?
He watched it so much he has to rest now.
He got too excited.
He does take golf pretty seriously. Now with agenda today, we do have some additions to our agenda. The first one being the blue piece of paper that was provided. That's the resolution for the brownfield plan that was approved by, I believe it was Sand Lake Township recently. And then also we need to add a presentation for Keegan Bengal, our equalization director. Go ahead, Roger.
Make a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
I have a motion from Commissioner Ballard, support from Commissioner Lee to adopt the agenda as amended. All those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Agenda is adopted. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to approve our meeting minutes from April 1st.
I'll make that motion, Mr. Chairman, to approve the April 1st.
Support.
I have a motion from Commissioner Heberlein, support from Commissioner Moody to approve our meeting minutes from April 1st. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. We received your correspondence from Jody through email the other day. So we're going to move into commissioner reports, and we're going to start with Commissioner Ballard.
Okay, on Saturday, August 5th, I started out my morning. What?
April 5th? You said August.
Oh, I did. Whatever.
We're done with 2024, Roger.
It was April. It was April.
Hey, we're among friends.
Good catch.
Maybe I got a hangover. Except I don't drink. April 5th. Went over to the Lamont Township Fire Department benefit breakfast. Got done there and went over to Argyle Township for their annual meeting. And they didn't have a lot of business to take care of other than culvert agreement with the road commission. They approved their 2025-26 budget amendments. And that was for the fire department, road maintenance and wages. And then they approved the budget as amended. And they also approved their this year's meeting dates. Marlette Township, they endorsed their Brightspeed grant application for fiber optic and approved paying the Brightspeed and DTE payments via online to avoid late fees. City of Marlette, they had a pretty packed house. They voted to move the marijuana grow regulatory ordinance onto the planning commission and the dispensary ordinance onto the ordinance committee. They were 4-2 votes. And they discussed the city manager job description and posting that job. He is leaving sometime in early May. And they are having a discussion with former police chief Brian McGinnis, who just retired. He may be doing the interim manager job for a little bit. They approved funding for the school safety resource officer. The city will be doing 25% of the funding and the school's 75%. They approved the park to put in a dog park fencing project. They had a fundraiser. I believe they raised close to $7,000, and the balance of that will come from park funds. They approved a DTE easement and approved an agreement with Sanilac County for database management and printing services for the tax bills. And they approved an annual advertising agreement with Sanilac Broadcasting for their summer vacation gang. That is all I have for now.
Okay, thank you, Roger. Gary?
Thank you. Yeah. Last week I attended the Warren Township meeting, and some of the topics were brought up in the meeting, discussed. They reviewed the fire department budget. They're looking at purchasing possibly a new emergency vehicle. They spent quite a bit of time on some of the blight issues, and that's obviously, I think every township spends a lot of time on blight issues, and they have some concerns of a few residents that they've been after for a couple of years. So that was talked about. They reviewed some of the brine contracts they got back, and also George Lasecki was there from the Planning Commission from Moore Township. You and I talked about that. He talked about the land split they're doing, which we'll see at our planning commission, the county is coming up. Watertown Township, again, they talked about contracts for lawn care in the cemetery. Talked about a garbage day, cleanup day. They have, I think, every June is when it's coming up, and trying to get that lined up. Matt Grabitz was there from the Sanilac County Road Commission, and gave them some prices per ton on gravel and limestone. And they also talked about the USDA loan and required documents, and they're going to, if they get that USDA loan, they're going to use that as part of putting the new meters here in Water Township, in the Sandusky, city of Sandusky. Attended the city of Sandusky meeting last Monday, and they gave my report, commission report, and new business. And I had it, and I don't know what I did with it. There's a new Mexican restaurant coming out to town. It's going to be in the old Big Boy, and they were there to get a liquor license. And then the owner, I think they have 5 locations in the Thumb area, and I even got their menu. So the city's looking forward to that. Dave Faber, the city manager, he gave his report on a number of different things. One of the things you see, we're still working on some of the streets. MDOT is coming back and finishing up some of the things they didn't get all completed last summer. So, end of my report.
Okay, thank you, Gary. Bill?
Port Sanilac has established their fiscal year boards and commissioners training plan. With some turnover, they've got some folks getting some upgraded information for themselves. Approved the noise ordinance request and also their newsletter content moving forward. Bridgehampton had some DTE concerns, a clerk vacancy there, unfortunately, and then they approved their drain maintenance contract with the county. And then Sand Lake Township approved their brownfield resolution that we're going to discuss today. Also some discussion of short-term rentals and water is moving forward in regards to finally hooking up with the village when they get everything done there as well. That's all I have.
Thank you, Bill. Christine?
I have nothing to report.
Okay, I myself have nothing to report today. John?
Okay, I had Fremont Township, since I missed our last meeting, I'll report on that. They're gonna do 14 miles of limestone on their back roads. They approved their chloride contract. They approved their meeting dates. Gonna still be the third Thursday of each month, and they were very happy. They had the sheriff's office work crew was there to do a bunch of work, and they waxed their floors and stuff like that. So they were very happy with the way it turned out. And then I had Speaker Township on the 8th. They signed a Highline grant letter. Ally wants to do some more work in the township for internet. Renewed some CDs, signed the contract with Fremont for their fire services, revised some scheduling, and they made a new email account for their FOIA requests. And I had the Village of Melvin on the 7th. They're working with the County Road Commission to do a grant to do repave Main Street. They're having some issues with their sirens, so if you're in Melvin, until they get it fixed, the siren's going off at 11 and 5 instead of 12 and 6. They're working on that. That's about it. I have Work Township tomorrow night and Fremont Township on Thursday.
Good. Thank you, John. Appreciate everyone's commissioner reports. Nathan, your administrator report, please.
Yes, thank you. So first thing I wanted to note was there's been a lot of talk about potentially glass recycling and the value that that could be to residents in the county. And I wanted to let you guys know that we did find a company who also services Tuscola. They've been working with for a little bit, and they will come and collect your glass recycling and turn it in. So we're going to get that moving here, hopefully in the next couple weeks. They'll bring a container and we can begin glass recycling for our residents. So once we get a firm date on that, we'll get more information out, but I think that will be kind of a nice service to offer for residents in our county. So
would that just be like a container that sits here that collects it? They come and get the container and then they deal with it?
Well, so they'll come get the container. I think they might put baskets out, then they might kind of transition it into the big container, but they come up once a month, or if need be twice a month. They'll put us on the same schedule as Tuscola, which would be nice. They'll come up, get ours, get theirs, and then kind of take it back because they're out of Ohio. So not a huge revenue stream for us, but I think the service that it'll give the residents is worth it. So regardless of how much money we're getting back for it. So I think it'll be valuable there. The office for the parks, the parks director is pretty much intact. We've been working on that, getting space set up, getting every cabinets, getting some of the IT stuff set up. So we're going to be on track for that to be all set up when they begin. So this morning, the city of Sandusky had a planning commission meeting. They approved the site plan and the lot split for the animal control. So that was positive. That continues to move forward at a good pace. And Mr. Faber said he would probably have over some documentation to Jeremy Bender possibly today, but if not this week, and then Jeremy could come up and start getting permits as necessary from the building department.
Very good. Things are moving nicely then.
Yeah, it's moving along well. So yeah, and that's all I had.
Okay.
Nathan, you brought up the glass. I know John, you brought a question. When did you say they're gonna start with
Glass? So we we're hopeful that it's gonna happen this month. Yeah, we don't have an exact date. They were gonna bring us our container when they came up to get the materials from Tuscola.
Well, that's a great thing. I know both Bill and I have served on that committee, and there's never been an avenue for, getting rid of glass. So.
Yeah.
To get started with that, be strictly drop off at the recycle center for glass.
It will. Yep.
Is there, and then are you going to look into possibly at the other drop off location?
Yeah, I think we've got the potential for expansion. I think what we want to see is how that works with it being dropped there first, and how much mess and things. There's always that concern with glass, and that whether it makes it in to the container as it's supposed to, how much debris is in front, people with driving in with tires and stuff. So I want to make sure that it's handled well here before we would ever venture that offsite.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
Any further questions for Nathan?
Would that be more residential? Or will it be commercial also, like commercial buildings getting rid of their glass or?
I don't think they recycle like this type of glass. It's glass containers.
Right, like bottles.
Yeah, that's what they were looking at more as glass jars, wine, bottles of varieties and jars and things like that. So That's kind of gonna be the focus, but, yep.
Okay, any further questions for Nathan? Hearing none, we will move on. At this time, I'm going to call for public comments pertaining to the agenda. Are there any public comments pertaining to the agenda today? Seeing none, we'll move on. We're moving into presentations, and our first one is Keegan Bengal, our Equalization Director. Keegan, welcome.
Hi, thank you. All right. All right, so today I am presenting the 2025 equalization report. Basically what I've done is I've got the actual equalization report in your packets, but that's got a lot of tiny writing and a lot of information. So I created a PowerPoint presentation just to kind of go over what's in the report and what data is being presented. So on the first slide here, this is our current equalization department, Tracy and myself. And then moving on, before I actually get into the report, I kind of wanted to touch on a little bit about what goes into creating the equalization report, kind of our processes and our procedures in the equalization department. And if this is information that isn't new to you or stuff that you want me to move past, I can definitely do that. But I find that equalization is kind of a mystery to a lot of people, so it helps just to touch on kind of what goes into these reports. And feel free to stop me at any time with questions or anything like that. My wife also says I talk really fast, so if you need me to slow down, just let me know. All right, so the next slide here. This is our county equalization studies. So the creating the county equalization report is mainly revolves around these county equalization studies. So these studies start at the beginning of the year. And basically, it starts with the cycle of us reviewing and verifying sales in each class of property throughout the county. Townships and cities with enough sales will undergo a sales study, and then townships without enough sales will undergo an appraisal study. And I will touch on the difference between those here in a few slides. But as you can see up here, this was our study count from last year with appraisal studies, the amount of sales that were studied, and then the office completed 117 total studies throughout the different classes of property. And then this shows the percent of the total class that was studied by our office. So the next slide, I'm going to be talking a lot about sales and assessment ratio. So I just want to touch on those a little bit. A sales ratio is created when the assessed value of a property is divided by the sale price of a property. So the example I included up here is basically you got a piece of property, the assessor values that property with an assessed value of $48,000. That property turns around tomorrow and sells on the market for $100,000. You would calculate the sales ratio by 48,000 divided by the 100,000, and you get 48%. So perfect sales ratio is 50%. That means the assessor has a property valued exactly what it sold for. A ratio below 50% means that the assessors should be raising their values to keep up with the market. And a ratio above 50% means the assessors should lower their values. The next slide here. So getting into the differences between a sales study and an appraisal study. This first example here is a sales study. So these are actual sales. So this, as you can see, you've got the parcel number, some information about the parcel, and over here is your sales price and then your assessment, and then that's the resulting ratio from dividing the assessment by the sale price. At the bottom here, you have your 12 sales, total sale price, total assessment, and then for this portion of time, you have your total ratio here of 41.39%. And basically what that's saying is that you've got 12 sales here, and the sales ratio for these 12 sales is a 41.39%. So you'd have to raise your values 18% or something like that to come into line with the market, which is a big jump, but really not uncommon with how the market's been for the past few years.
Keegan, I have a question.
Absolutely.
So that ratio would get kicked out of whack if housing prices were to elevate dramatically, correct?
Yeah, yep. So let's say prices skyrocketed again, that ratio might go down to 35%. But if they slow down a little bit, maybe it comes back into line with more to 50% kind of thing in the market. So for the next slide, so this is an appraisal study. So basically, if you have a township that doesn't have enough sales to do a sales study, then you have to do an appraisal study, which is a lot of like the commercial industrial class, you're not gonna have enough sales to do in order to do a sales study. But basically what we're trying to do is mimic a sales study. So we take a random selection of properties in the class. We take the assessment that the assessor has placed on them, and then we do a full appraisal on these properties, including creating land values, creating economic condition factors for them, and basically trying to mimic what we think the property would sell for if it sells right now. So very similar to a sales study, you got your assessment, your appraisal, and then your final ratio here. And so total number of parcels, your totals for the assessment, the appraisal, and then you get your total ratio that way. So that brings us to a form called the L4018. So we finished our studies and we have our ratios, and now we want to communicate that to the assessors, basically telling them this is what our market study found in your township. And so you have each class of property here, and then on the right-hand side, you have your results of the study. So you have your percent ratio, your assessment ratio right here for the overall class. And then the true cash value is something they enter into their program to make it so that they're starting with this assessment ratio. So when we send the 4018 to the assessors, they will in turn give us what's called the L4023, which is on the next slide here. So basically, the L4023 is a form that shows us how the assessor took the study that we gave them and how they got their values in line with the market. So basically, the state tax commission requires that your ending ratio in each class of property is between 49 and 50%. By law, it has to be between 49 and 50%. Otherwise, our department has to place a factor on that class, which is basically just an adjustment to bring it to 50%. So as you can see on this L4023, this is their starting ratio right here from that L4018 on the last slide. And you can see the different, there's their losses, their new, their adjustments on here, basically showing you the changes in value that they had. And then you can see that their ending ratio was a 49.58, which is in compliance. So we did have one township this year in their commercial class received a factor, that's in Forester. Basically, factors are not very common at all. So in that class, we're gonna have to, I believe it's a factor of I think it's 9522 on every commercial property in that class. I think there's 12 of them, will be lowered by that percent to get within this ratio. Basically what happened is the assessor had it was a building on leased land, which in the assessing database, they are not considered personal property, but they're valued by the same way as personal property. The company sent in a personal property statement to the township supervisor because they used to be the assessor. And then the assessor did not realize or receive the statement until March Board of Review. The assessor put the statement on in their database at March Board of Review, didn't realize that it threw him out of ratio. And so in order to bring that back into ratio, a factor has to be applied to that class of, I think it was 0.9522. So small factor, still not the goal.
When you started this slide, you said you had to come up with a factor. I missed what you said about that.
So
You said you had to assess a factor.
yes, yep, that's correct. So basically, this is just an example on here.
Okay.
But this ratio right here is their ending assessment ratio for this class property. In this case, it's the agricultural class. But the state tax commission requires that ratio be between 49 and 50%.
Okay.
So in the case of Forester, I believe theirs was at like a 50.02. And so a small factor has to be placed on that class of property to bring that back within the acceptable range set by the state tax commission. So moving to the next slide here, these studies, they are started in April. Basically, these studies are gonna start right after this report is finished. These are the different reports that are used in the completion of the equalization studies. And those are the reports I just covered in the last couple slides there. So after the assessors received their oh no, you're saying that side, sorry. Once they receive their ratios on their 4018, they take all their data, they do it in their changes, and they send us their database back. That is basically what them completing their database. So when the assessors are finished with their database, they turn them over to our department for a pre-March quarter review audit. This is basically just us looking at it before March quarter review begins, making sure their totals are balanced, they're in ratio. It's not something that's required by the state tax commission for them to turn into us, but the majority of the assessors in the county do turn their assessment rolls over for review. Just because when you're working with that massive amount of data, it's really good to have somebody, just a quick second set of eyes on the major aspects of it. So we get their data, we review their assessment rolls, including those L4023 ratios. Then we return their databases back to them for the audit. Then they turn their databases into the March quarter review. March quarter review commences, changes are made, then the assessment rolls are turned back into the equalization department for one last final audit. And then we take that data from the assessors, we audit it again, we compile it, and then that is what makes up the equalization report. So the next slide is just, these are different or additional reports and functions that are completed by the equalization department each year. I could probably do a presentation on each one of them, so I won't go into the details of them, but if you have any questions on any of those procedures or reports or anything like that, I'm more than happy to answer them. All right, so getting into the actual equalization report. I don't know if anybody has any questions over the stuff I covered there, so I went a little quick. But the first part of the report is the letter that I included to the board that basically states that we've completed our review in the 2025 assessment rules of the 26 townships and 4 cities in St. Louis County, and the equalization department is submitting the report for approval and adoption. And then it lists the county recommended county equalized value for 2025, which I have on the next coming slides here. So pages 5 through 11 on the equalization report. This is what's called the L4024, and this is a summary of the county equalized values. So this is a report that gets signed and approved by the board, and then is turned over to the state tax commission to show that we've completed county equalization. The next slide here, these are the county equalized values in each class of property for the county, and then total there in the bottom. They're large numbers, so I won't read each to you. Moving on, pages 12 through 17 of the equalization report. These show the changes from 2024 to 2025 for each township and each class of property. And then I just did a small breakdown here of the total changes in each class of property. And then it gives a breakdown of the increase from 2024 to 2025, about 10.95% for the assessed value. And then the taxable value increased by 5.94%.
Keegan, what do you think is driving the increase in the taxable value? Is it increased values of home sales and properties values?
A little bit. So with the assessed compared to the taxable value, the assessed value is going to be more of an indicator of what the market is doing, kind of thing, as the assessed value isn't capped, so it's going to follow exactly what the market is doing. The taxable value is uncapped, and there's only certain instances that change the taxable value. So a big increase in taxable value is not only due to the rate of inflation that the state sets for us in our database. That's hard coded in, so we have to, I believe this year was a little over 3%. But it's also due to property selling, so they've become uncapped, people building, things like that, things that are going to directly affect your taxable value, like new laws, additions, things like that. So this slide on page 18 of the report is just a breakdown of the value classes in the county. You can see that it's primarily residential and then followed by agricultural. The next slide is the value trends in Santa Ana County since 2008. So you can see this is your equalized value and this is your taxable value here. So which they both maintain a pretty similar amount going across there. With the looks like the equalized value has increased quite a bit in the last few years. All right, then on page 20 of the equalization report, I put in a breakdown of the total taxable value for the year and what that taxable value would equal an estimated revenue for each of the millage rates. And this is based on the millage rates that were levied last year. And then pages 22 through 51 of the report is basically the same data that was listed at the beginning of the report, but it's broken down on township to township basis. So it's a little bit redundant of the same information, but it's just a little easier to look at when you're trying to compare township to township. From last year to this year, most had a positive increase, but a few did have slight negative increases, but for mostly across the board, it was positive. So
Any reason why they were negative?
it would I have to look into each township more to get more of a specific answer, but that's something I definitely can get if you'd like to see that. Could be removal of property. A lot of times if new property isn't being built and things like that, it's just property depreciation from year to year. Just causes for slight decreases basically. With that is everything I have. Is there any questions?
Questions for Keegan?
A lot of information I threw at you. I apologize.
Well, you said it correctly when you started out, that equalization is a bit of a mystery.
Yeah.
But I think you did an excellent job and we appreciate you coming in and doing the presentation, not only for us to be more informed about how this process works, but it's taxation. And we're taxing residents and it's
Yeah.
important that they understand how that process works.
Absolutely.
So I really appreciate you coming in and being very forthcoming and open with the information and how that stuff is all dealt with here as a county.
Yep, absolutely. And if there's anything, the data can be manipulated in a lot of different ways. So in the future, if there's certain things you'd like to see on the report, I'm more than happy to include anything. So.
Okay, very good.
Hey, one question. What effect does demolition of buildings on property have? They're not replaced.
It'd be considered a loss. Yeah, so it'd be considered a loss of value and that would be applied directly to the taxable value.
So it would go down. The
Yes.
assessment would go down.
Yep, that's
Even if it was a rundown, fallen in the ground building. Or,
So
yeah.
if it's basically if it's run down so much to where the assessor has placed no value on it, then it would not cause
You'd almost think it would make the value come up.
yeah, it might.
Gone.
Yeah, from not having to look at it, but
I'm just
that's
curious.
more, I guess,
How bad somebody wants it.
yeah, pertaining to the market, but yeah, yep, if a property is removed, you take the value of that property from last year and that's considered your loss. So.
Keegan, how do you tax land with the windmills on and the solar?
So solar and
How do you
wind
go about doing
turbines.
that? Because obviously that increases the value, right? Because there's money
So,
made off that.
yeah,
Or not.
basically, wind turbines and solar panels are considered to be industrial personal property. So their value is filed through a personal property statement each year. As far as the effect on actual property that it has, I have never noticed provable, I guess, increases or decrease in property values.
So that plot of land, just say it's 100 acres,
Mhm.
that's taken out of farm and put in industrial?
If it is like solar panels and it's covering the whole thing, then yes, yep, that would be considered probably the whole,
What if it's just part of a farm?
just part of it, depends on the whole parcel, basically. I think, if the majority of it is still farmed, and then that can still be considered, an agricultural parcel. But if the majority of it is solar panels or something like that used for industrial purpose like that, then it would be converted. But that decision, I guess, is left up to the assessor to, make as to what they would want to class that as. But for a wind turbine on, like, an ag field, it's such a small little spot that it's taking up, so it would still be considered ag, yeah.
I don't know if that answers my question.
Okay, I'm sorry.
So that adds income to that part of that farm.
Okay,
Does
yep.
that make sense now?
Yes,
Yeah.
yep, so, as far as the value of the property is concerned, that income isn't taken into effect. Yeah, we at the equalization department, we don't see what people are receiving from those turbines or what sort of agreements they have, we are looking at the property value, it makes sense to me that the property value would be less, having some sort of turbine or something like on that, people don't wanna look at them kind of thing, it does take up space, but, something making sense to me and being able to prove it on paper with sales is a totally different thing. Because if you were to decrease somebody's property value and somebody else, came in and said, well, why did you decrease this? And you said, I don't know, I thought it was right, kind of thing, and you didn't have the actual data, then that doesn't really fly with the state tax commission, so, yeah, I have never seen sales reports being able to prove that the, value would be lower, but it does make sense to me. Does that more answer the question?
Yeah, it's a little bit clear. Yeah, it is.
Good. Any further questions for Keegan? Keegan, again, thank you for being here to give us a presentation. We'll certainly look forward to one next year.
All right, absolutely.
And we especially appreciate what you had up there. I had an opportunity to review that prior, and there was a lot of good information in there, and you did a good job of putting it in layman's terms for us. So,
Perfect, awesome.
thank you.
Thank you, I appreciate it. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, problem. Okay, up next, we're gonna have the 2024 annual drain report from Doug Sweet, our drain commissioner. Doug, welcome.
Afternoon.
Good to see you in one of our meetings.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. I'm not really gonna open this up. It's big and cumbersome this year. Last year, we updated our software, so we went from our drain ledger we had in 2006 to solid circle. So next year, I promise won't be this big and cumbersome. I'll just give you a quick overview, and if you have any more questions, you can stop at the office afterwards. Let me know. That sound fair?
Fair.
So last year, we performed maintenance on 142 drains. 46 of those, we removed brush and sediment from the drain. And 96 drains, we sprayed. We sprayed roughly 190 miles of drains and performed dirt work on roughly 65. Angie assessed out 158 drains, and she assessed out to the property owners, the villages, the county, and the townships just over $1.8 million last year. A big thing we have going on last year and this year is the duct drain. After the county pledged full faith and credit, we were able to lock in 4.26% interest rate. So that was big for the residents. And then that project is costing about $2.9 million, and MDOT is contributing just over $2.2 million to that project. That is scheduled to start here in the next couple months this spring. And then another big project we have with MDOT is Spring Creek Drain in Peck. MDOT was paying to replace a couple bad culverts underneath M19, and they're going to replace it with box culvert. And they're fully funding that one. And that one's also scheduled to start within the next 6 or 8 weeks. We also have a new employee in our office. Our old one, my old maintenance supervisor, is now the emergency manager. So we hired a new guy, Joe Garvey from Peck. Other than that, that's kind of it for what we did last year.
Very good.
Any questions?
Seeing none. Appreciate what you do, Doug. Appreciate you being here today to give us
Thanks
a
for
run.
having me. See ya.
Have a good day.
Thanks, Doug. Have a good one.
Okay, and lastly, for presentations today, we have the 2024 annual MSU extension report from Carly Tender, District 10 Director. Welcome, Carly.
Hello. Lots of annual reports today. You should all have a copy of the annual report in your packets. If not, I do have some hard copies if you want me to pass those along. Got one?
I don't think I got one.
Okay.
In the back, please. Oh, it is in the back.
Your agenda.
Good. All right, I will.
Not in color though. I'm
We
No, no.
please, people are just tearing down the door for
He's
these
colorblind.
reports.
He's colorblind anyways.
I'll take one too, please.
Yeah. Anybody else want a color copy? All right. All right, so I'll just kind of give a clip notes version of some of the highlights from last year. So some of the numbers down here in the bottom of the first page, I really want to distinguish the difference between the first two data points on the left side. This always takes me a minute to really think about what the difference is. So the first one there were 1,216 participants that attended 36 programs physically held here in Sanilac County. And those could include others from the surrounding area that came here as well. And then the second one, there were 2,081 Sanilac County residents that attended 252 programs. So that includes those held here in the county, as well as across the state and online as well. We do a lot of virtual programming to reach people where they're at, and so they don't have to travel. So really what this shows us is that there's a lot of Sanilac County residents that are taking advantage. I mean, almost half of all of the participants that we reached here in the Sanilac County, the residents, are attending programs either outside of the county or online. So the SNAP Ed program coached 7 sites through making 38 changes to policies, systems, and or environments to help make it easier for individuals to make healthier choices. This is the world that I was in for 10 years before I became the district director. And I can just say that this is a really impressive number. A lot of this, it's not just going in and teaching a program and going back to the office and going to the next program. These, we call them PSE changes. So these PSE initiatives really take time to establish a relationship with that site, help them identify different things that they want to improve, so they can serve their, community members, residents, clients, whoever better. So that's a really significant number there. There were 418 one-on-one consultations with Sanilac County residents. Most of these are from our ag educators. So a lot of this is on-farm consultations. If somebody reaches out to them, it could be a phone conversation, through email, those kinds of things.
Is that something Jared would do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So these aren't necessarily 418 in-person interactions. These could be a simple phone call or an email.
Yes. They're supposed to report them all. It becomes tedious a lot of the time. So we have 4 institutes, and different institutes just report things a little bit differently. So most of this is our agriculture educators reporting those one-on-one direct contacts. There were 213 volunteers who served Sanilac County, most of those being in the 4-H program. 350 youth were enrolled in the 4-H program last year. And another way that we reach community members is through educational handouts, e-newsletters, and in other materials distributed with information. So there were 9,625 contacts made with Sanilac County residents through those methods as well. So Mary Gilbert is our community nutrition instructor. She's housed here in Sanilac County in the office here, but she also covers Huron County in community nutrition education. So last year, she reached 132 adults and youth with over 10 programs here in Sanilac County. Some of those were the Senior Project Fresh educational workshops, which at the end of those, the seniors get coupons to use to buy fresh local fruits and vegetables at roadside stands and farmers markets. So there was a total of $3,750 that seniors in the county received last year to buy fresh produce in the area. Food preservation and Serve Safe continue to be popular programs. So Lori Messing, she serves most of the counties in the thumb. She's housed in the Huron County office, but does a lot of programming down here as well. She reached 59 participants through various food safety programs as well. Just here in Sanilac County. I won't go through all of these, but you can read a little bit more about some of the other overall health and well-being programs that we offer. Tai Chi for falls prevention seems to be a really popular program. So I don't think they had any here in Sanilac County last year. They host those online as well. So those residents probably were included in the other reach as well overall. Last year was a big year for emergency response to accidents involving livestock, or E-rail, for our area last year. So there's a new E-rail trailer that was placed just next door in Lapeer County. So that's one of now 8 placed around the state. And those are deployed if there is ever an accident involving livestock. They're fully equipped with really anything that you could imagine and want and need for, corralling any kind of livestock. There's even gear in there for bees. There was a rollover, I think, on 96 a couple of years ago that was full of bees. So that's now part of the training as well, and our educators cover that. So there was an E-rail training that was held in Lapeer County as well last year at the Imlay City Fairgrounds in May, and that had 52 participants. There was a lot of response from people in this area in the thumb. We've been trying to get one of those over in this area, considering we have a lot of livestock that's moving around everywhere. So that was very well attended. Jared continued his feedlot educational series. So that had over 100 participants, and it's a series of 4 presentations he does throughout the winter. And he hosts those at Biagio's in Kingston, trying to find a central location for most of the growers and producers of beef in the area. The field crops educators hosted several educational workshops in the area as well. Of note, the crop and pest update in Peck had 70 participants attend. And most of the educational workshops they host, they also offer RUP credits, restricted use pesticides. So they have to maintain those educational credits to have that certification. So there are 70 participants that they had over here in Peck. All of the 9 on-farm soybean plots that are listed here last year were here in Sanilac County. So those trials have a lot of, they provide a lot of non-biased research and evaluate different practices and production methods and products. And that's made into a report and, published to help everyone across the state. The virtual breakfast series reached a lot of people again last year. It's a weekly webinar throughout the growing season. I think they just started up last week, I believe.
Last week.
Okay.
Yep.
So they feature a different timely topic for growers, whatever, a lot of them, all farmers are interested about the weather. So I think every week they talk about the weather and then give some focus on some other topic. So there were 5,465 participants who joined that live last year. And those are all recorded. And so there were many, many more that had either watched the recordings or listened to the podcast on different platforms. And you can see that. And of those who joined live, there were just under 400 Sanilac County residents. So the 4-H program continues to reach a lot of youth in the area, not only through the traditional chartered clubs, which there were 52 chartered clubs last year, but also through the school enrichment and other educational programs as well. So Mary does a lot with robotics and programming with their little spheros, they call them. But the kids learn all about programming those and how to run all that, as well as embryology, especially this time of year. Kids learn, they have little incubators and learn the different stages of growth and development for chicks in an egg. They learn how to candle those and then watch them hatch. So that's always a really fun project for the kids. So there were 1,403 participants reached through programming in various formats. So sometimes it's a longer term, maybe once a week for 5 weeks type of situation. Maybe it's just a one-time workshop or educational program. And as I shared earlier, last year, there were 350 enrolled youth in 4-H. And then 4-H is a volunteer-led program, and we absolutely could not do what we do for the youth in the area without them. And there were just under 200 registered volunteers in the 4-H program last year. A couple of months ago, I came and invited you all to the upcoming Connecting Entrepreneurial Communities Conference. So that is being held in Lapeer at the end of next month, May 29th and 30th. That's something, it's a conference that we organize and host in a small town in Michigan, somewhere different every year. So this year, we're really excited to have it locally over in this area. You could go, I could send you the link again if you'd like. But that should be a really nice showcase of what folks are doing in the area related to community and economic development. The bottom here just shows some of the different impacts statewide overall across all of our programs in MSU Extension. And then lastly, at the bottom here, there is a QR code to the full strategic directions report, if anyone's interested. Last year, we finished a very extensive strategic planning process. So this report kind of summarizes what we've heard and gathered from community members and stakeholders and what we plan to do to implement some of those changes. So with that, I'll answer any questions if anybody has any.
Well, we appreciate your email you send out.
Good.
Yeah.
Good, thank you.
We look at it before we delete it, but we do look at it.
Good to hear.
Second of all, last, has membership, 4-H membership kind of stabilized now since COVID's over and that kind of got back to?
Yeah, I'm not sure if we're quite back to pre-COVID numbers,
It's gonna
but
take a while.
yeah, we're definitely seeing an increase getting back there.
Good.
Very good. Any other further questions for Carlos? Hearing none, thank you for being here today.
Thank you.
That concludes presentations. We are going to move on to appointments to standing committees. We have one appointment to make here. I'll entertain a motion to appoint Angela Kramer to a 6-year term to the jury board expiring 4/30/31. So moved.
Support.
I have a motion from Commissioner Ballard, support from Commissioner Lee. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Angela is appointed. If we said that in our last meeting, it was like the year was 29. It was hard to believe. Now we're doing 31. Okay, I see no need for 13B or 14, so that's going to move us right into general resolutions. And the first one today is going to be a resolution proclaiming the month of May Motorcycle Awareness Month. I actually have this resolution here in front of me. Is it okay if I read this one?
Yes.
So this is a resolution proclaiming the month of May Motorcycle Awareness Month. Whereas the county of Sanilac has many citizens who are concerned about motorcycle safety while touring during recreation and daily transportation. And whereas the month of May is nationally recognized month for motorcycle is the nationally recognized month, motorcycles are more prevalent on our streets. The need to be more aware of their presence is of the utmost urgency. And whereas due to the Pure Michigan advertising campaign and the modification of the Michigan helmet law, many out-of-state riders will be visiting our state and using our roads. And whereas an overwhelming number of cars versus motorcycle accidents could be avoided with due regard, respect, and awareness of motorcycles on the streets and intersections of this county of Sanilac. And whereas the inclusion of motorcycle awareness provided by ABATE of Michigan is as a distinct part of the driver education curriculum and motorcycle rider education programs will help promote safe driving and motorcycle riding practices. And whereas it is the interest of our community and the citizens of Sanilac County to note the increase in the amount of motorcycle traffic as we enter the warm months to enable the reduction of accidents and injuries involving motorcycles. Now therefore be it resolved on this 15th day of April 2025, the Sanilac County Board of Commissioners hereby proclaim the month of May as Motorcycle Awareness Month in the county of Sanilac. I have a resolution offered. Is there support?
Support.
I have support from Commissioner Heberlein. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those, or I'm sorry, Leslie, a roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Black,
Yes.
Commissioner Heberlein,
Yes.
Commissioner Ballard,
Yes.
Commissioner Moody,
Yes.
Commissioner Lee,
Yes.
Commissioner Sarcella.
Yes.
Resolution is adopted.
Mr. Chairman, we do have a date here today.
Yeah, and we have ABATE members here. Would you guys be willing to stand up and we could do a photo with the resolution proclaiming May?
By all means, unless you would like to wait until the meeting is concluded for that, but I would like to make a presentation real quick.
You guys have a presentation you'd like to do?
I would just like to say a few words if it's.
Yeah, if you, go ahead and do that right now and then we'll do a photo.
Ladies and gentlemen of Sanilac County Commissioning Board, my name is Jeremy Iceman Bouvret with my cohort here, Tim Volk, RC Regional Director, Regional Coordinator for Region 7, Abeta, Michigan. I do have a paper that I was going to read, but I'm going to shoot from the hip. This is, I believe, my 4th or 5th time standing in front of you all, and I wanted to give the utmost thank you again for your continuing support for riders all over the county of Sanilac and of the Thumb region. Your huge continuing support makes this easier to do every time we come and do it. So I want to thank everyone on the Board of Commissioners for adopting the resolution proclaiming May as Motorcycle Awareness Month. Thank you all so very, very much. On behalf of Abate of Michigan and Region 7, thank you.
Thank you, Chairman.
Tim, I don't know if you want to say anything or whatever.
I would like to say thank you, and I'm now retired, so I can be here along with Jeremy for this, so that was my reasons for not coming before. But I really do appreciate you doing this because there is a lot of motorcycle traffic that comes, and believe it or not, within our own state through this area. We do like a book tour where people have destinations to go to, and we have all kinds of people from Oakland, Wayne, Macomb, St. Clair County, all riding up this way. So it is definitely an increased motorcycle traffic, and with your support and your help getting this out, I really appreciate it. Thank you.
We all do. Thank you very much.
Thank you guys for being here. Typically we get a picture with the whole board and these guys. Is everybody okay with doing that? Sure.
Now, like I said, I don't know if you guys want to wait till after meeting or.
We're here.
We're here.
We typically do it
Now
right
or
when
never.
It's been a long meeting. We want to get up. Gotta stretch and get some blood flow.
I don't know who wants to hold the sign, but
We'll be right in the middle.
Better get out there.
I'm standing back here.
oh,
Can we get in? It is.
we got enough room, guys?
We item.
Yeah, okay.
Will it work behind? Yeah, you can put our faces. You'll see us.
You're coming help me hold the sign.
There we go.
That's a big photo, isn't it?
Smiles.
Thank you very much.
Well, thank you so much, guys.
You're gonna shake your hand. Yes.
Thank you.
See you, Tim.
You too, guys.
Appreciate being here, guys.
Thank you.
Shall can I have a spelling of your last
We
name?
don't think you.
Last name is, put Iceman, ICEMAN,
Okay.
and then, Bouvre, capital BOUVRETTE.
And then black on black.
We don't have windowsills like the guys on that side.
L. P.
Pile our stuff.
That's
Yep.
right. Okay,
That one's a little easier.
that was easier. You got it.
A shelf back there, put a shelf back there, we'll walk right into it. We'll end up getting hurt.
I just have one comment I want to make. There's a saying, look twice, save a life. It makes a difference. I've lost a lot of friends.
Yeah. Okay. The next resolution we have up today is a resolution in support of the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act, the WIOA. Roger, this was something you brought forward. Did you want?
Yeah, I guess I need to read it out. What was I thinking? Whereas the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act, WIOA, is a critical piece of federal legislation designed to strengthen and improve our nation's workforce system and help put Americans, including youth and those with significant barriers to employment, back to work. And whereas WIOA has played an essential role in the success of businesses within Sanilac County, providing necessary resources to hire, train, and retain a skilled and competitive workforce. And whereas WIOA has enabled local employers to access funding for occupational training services, upskill employees, and meet evolving industry demands. And whereas businesses have benefited from job readiness assistance and employment search support made available through WIOA, improving hiring processes and workforce alignment. And whereas the program's focus on employer engagement has enhanced employee retention and ensured that local training programs are responsive to the needs of the business community. And whereas WIOA contributes to local economic growth by supporting workforce development initiatives that equip residents with the skills needed to contribute meaningfully to the economy. And whereas the program ensures access to training and employment opportunities, improving the overall quality of life in our communities. And whereas WIOA fosters innovation and competitiveness by aligning trading with employer demand and preparing workers for success in a dynamic and rapidly changing job market. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Board of Commissioners of Sanilac County that 1, the county expresses its strong support for the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act and its continued funding and implementation. 2, the county affirms the vital role of local workforce development boards in implementing WIOA and serving as key partners in connecting job seekers with meaningful employment and employers with qualified candidates. And 3, the county urges federal lawmakers to continue prioritizing and investing in WIOA as a proven and effective mechanism for workforce development and economic prosperity. Be it further resolved that this resolution in support of the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act be spread upon the proceedings of Sanilac County Board of Commissioners this 15th day of April, 2025.
A resolution offered from Commissioner Ballard. Is there support? Support. I have support from Commissioner Moody. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, Leslie, a roll call, please.
Commissioner Ballard,
Yes.
Commissioner Moody,
Yes.
Commissioner Lee,
Yes.
Commissioner Sarkella,
Yes.
Commissioner Block,
Yes.
and Commissioner Heberlein.
Yes.
Resolution is adopted. Thank you for bringing that forward, Roger.
Yeah, this funding is critical to supplying training and whatnot for our residents.
Roger, a couple of years ago, they were, it was a local business will hire somebody, they paid the first 3 months or something. Was that part of this?
Could very well have been. Programs change through the years, you know.
That was a good, it was a good.
Yeah, there's still ongoing programs that provide that sort of thing.
Okay, our final resolution today is going to be on your blue add-on sheet, and this is the resolution related to the brownfield. Any commissioner that wishes to do so, to read that resolution for us?
I'll read it. Excuse me. The County of Sanilac, Michigan, resolution approving a brownfield plan for the Port Sanilac Wellness and Lobster redevelopment. Port Sanilac, Michigan, pursuant to and in accordance with the provisions of Act 381 of the Public Acts of the State of Michigan of 1996 as amended. At a regular meeting in Sanilac County Board of Commissioners held in Board of Commissioners Chamber at 60 West Sanilac Avenue, Sandusky, Michigan, on the 15th day of April, 2025. Whereas the Michigan Brownfield Redevelopment Financial Act 381 PA 1996 is amended, Act 381 authorizes municipalities to create a brownfield redevelopment authority to promote the revitalization, redevelopment, and reuse of contaminated, blighted, functionally obsolete, historically designated, or housing property through tax increment financing of eligible activities approved in a brownfield plan. And whereas the Sanilac County Board of Commissioners establishes the Sanilac County Brownfield Redevelopment Authority under the procedures of Act 381 to facilitate the redevelopment of brownfields within the County of Sanilac. And whereas the Brownfield Redevelopment Authority, the authority of the County of Sanilac pursuant to and accordance with the provisions of the Brownfield Redevelopment Financing Act, being Act 381 of the Public Acts of the State of Michigan of 1996, has amended the act, has received and recommended for approval by the Sanilac County Board of Directors a brownfield plan, the plan pursuant to and in accordance with Section 613 of the act. And whereas the Village of Port Sanilac reviewed the plan at the regular Village Council meeting on February 4th, 2025, and passed a resolution of concurrence and resolution of understanding to allow for the County of Sanilac and Sanilac County Brownfield Redevelopment Authority to administer the plan. And whereas the authority has at least 10 days before the meeting of the Sanilac County Board of Commissioners, of which this resolution has been considered, providing notice to and fully informing all taxing jurisdictions, the taxing jurisdictions which are affected by the plan about the fiscal and economic implications of the proposed plan, and the Sanilac County Board of Commissioners has previously provided the taxing jurisdictions a reasonable opportunity to express their views and recommendations regarding the financing plan in accordance with Section 13 and 14 of the Act. And whereas the Sanilac County Board of Commissioners has made the following determinations and findings: A, the plan constitutes a public purpose under the Act. B, the plan meets all the requirements for a brownfield plan set forth in Section 13 of the Act. C, the proposed method of financing the cost of the eligible activities as described in the plan is feasible, and the authority has the ability to arrange the financing. D, the cost of the eligible activities proposed in the plan are reasonable and necessary to carry out the purposes of the act. E, the amount of captured taxable value estimated to result from the adoption of the plan is reasonable, and whereas as a result of its review of the plan and upon consideration of the views and recommendations of the taxing jurisdictions, the Sanilac County Board of Commissioners desires to proceed with approval of the plan. Now, therefore, be it resolved that: one, plan approved pursuant to authority vested in the board by the act and pursuant to in accordance with the provisions so Section 14 of the act and plan is hereby approved in the form attached as Exhibit A to this resolution. The brownfield plan for the Port Sanilac Wellness and Lobster Redevelopment Project as presented pursuant to in accordance with the provisions of Act 381 project as presented pursuant to the provisions of Act 31 of the Public Acts of the State of Michigan 1996 as amended. The duration of the plan is estimated for a 21-year period, but shall not exceed 35 years as provided by subsequent increases or decreases in the tax increment revenues per Act 381. 2, severability. Should any section, clause, or phrase of this resolution be declared by the courts to be invalid, the same shall not affect the validity of this resolution as a whole, nor any part thereof other than the part so declared to be invalid. 3, repeals. All resolutions or part of resolutions in conflict with any of the provisions of this resolution are hereby repealed. Be it further resolved that this resolution be spread upon the proceedings of the Sanilac County Board of Commissioners this 15th day of April, 2025.
I have a resolution offered by Finance Chairman Sarkella. Is there support? Or I have support from Vice Chairman Ballard. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, Leslie, roll call, please.
Commissioner Sarchello,
Yes.
Commissioner Ballard,
Yes.
Commissioner Heberlein,
Yes.
Commissioner Moody,
Yes.
Commissioner Lee,
Yes.
and Commissioner Miller.
Yes. Resolution is adopted. Thank you, Leslie.
You're welcome.
Commissioner Black?
Yes, sir.
If you don't mind, I would just like to note that Samantha from Police and Vandenbrink is here. She's been vital in the Brownfield Committee, kind of establishing policies, procedures, understanding these things as we move through. She's spent a lot of time, has been a huge resource for us. And Tim Hayden is our the chair of the Brownfield Committee, and They've just done a really good job of getting a couple things in motion for a brownfield committee, which was dormant for quite some time.
Yeah, this is like a revitalization. So thank you for your service and your time bringing this about. We're doing good things for county residents. And we're looking forward to what you guys will have for us in the future too.
Thank you.
Thank you for those comments, Nathan. Okay, we're going to move into committee reports as we are done with resolutions. We're going to start with Commissioner Moody.
No report.
Okay,
I have community corrections on the 24th and MDHS tests on the 28th.
okay. We would typically have a county planning commission meeting today at 3:00, but there was no agenda item, so that meeting was canceled. So anybody planning to stick around for the planning meeting, it will not happen. That's all I have. Christine?
I had Child Abuse Prevention Council this morning. Career Day at Snedsky High School is on May 2nd. The Youth Empowerment Camp will be in August. The Community Baby Shower will be at the Harvest Hall in Peck on April 24th. There's 3 billboards around the county about child abuse. And the 4-H camp will be June 24th to 26th at Camp Stapleton, sponsored by Huron, Lapeer, Santa, St. Clair, and Tuscola, MSU Extension 4-H programs. And then I had the Health Department this morning. They approved 2 policies, one on social media and the other one on flexible work policy. The Kay Bladshire facilitate the strategic plan, and she's still working with them. There's 5 cases of measles in Michigan. Influenza, COVID-19, and RSV is declining. This health department will be closed for Good Friday. And COVID-19 grants were cut. That's all I have to report.
Okay, thank you, Christine. Bill?
Sat in on a Michigan Sea Grant Fisheries Workshop. A couple hours the other night, a couple things going on there. Lake Huron Citizens Fish Committee was involved with that as well. So there is a community of citizens that give some input into what they're doing. They shared charter and survey information, prey fish examples, sea lamprey control. They're a little behind on that because they ceased the sea lamprey control treating because of COVID, but now they're back up with that because I've noticed on some fish that have been caught in Lexington that there's been some sea lamprey marks on them. We haven't had those around in quite some time. Lake trout population has been very steady. The sea lamprey control, by the way, they're going to be treating 31 streams this year. And then just a note for out of Lexington alone, last year there was 23,000 angler hours. So a lot of fishing going on. You don't realize just how much that brings into the community as far as the economy is
They're
concerned.
fishing a lot right now.
Yeah.
The harbor down there is, every morning you go down there, there's 20, 25 trailers.
Mm-hmm. It's a good thing. Landfill recycling, the Michigan or the materials management plans moving forward. I'll be attending that meeting tomorrow. Transportation, we had a special meeting for that before I left town and hired Jeff Ryan as our new director. I see Richard's here today. And then Michigan Association of Counties, I sat in on the, I'm still on that committee, which has now been expanded. So I call it the NRAT. So environmental, natural resources, agriculture, and tourism is all now one committee. So we are doing updated platforms for what that does is that tells the staff then for MAC what they need to be focusing on for the year. So that's what the meeting was involved the other day. So that's all I have.
Good. Thank you, Bill. Appreciate you being on that MAC board too, for giving some advocacy for St. Louis County. Gary?
Well, John, my report is ditto to yours because we're both on the planning committee. Saturday, I have a committee meeting at the Argyle Fire Department auction sale for all farm equipment. That's where all farm boys go. So.
Is that what that is, a committee meeting?
Yeah, something like that. You spend a lot of money, you don't need.
Hopefully it doesn't rain up there.
The Monday morning after that auction, I have to ask everybody who calls my shop, you didn't just buy this at the Argyle auction, did you?
Yeah, that's kind of goes with it, you know.
Thank you for your report, Gary. Roger?
Yesterday I had a DTF meeting, Drug Task Force. Not a lot to talk about there. Today they had the Sheriff's Department had a company out of Rhode Island, GC Patrol Shield. It's the shields that officers use to, riot. They used to call them riot shields. It's a new product that they actually had one over there that they had used for demo, and there were 5, I believe they were 380 rounds stacked in this shield, one after another, and didn't penetrate. There was a shotgun blast from a slug, and then you could see this recess kind of in it where the energy you could see the slug hole, and then it all just kind of went out. It's like a crater almost, but none of the material other than the hole was disturbed really. Quite a piece of equipment. So we'll see where that goes. Let's see, I had program committee last Tuesday for CMH. On the parks front, construction's continuing at Evergreen. They're moving along pretty good. I was up there today. Yesterday, they're working on the 2 pavilions. The office is very naked right now. They've got everything stripped off it to put the new siding, new roof. The front door was in. That's gonna be a nice look for the park when everybody comes up the hill. Like I said, the pavilions are working on them. They should be complete tomorrow, except for the stonework. They will actually have stone columns on them. They're really gonna be a nice looking asset for the park. And Nathan mentioned park space or office space for a park director. We do have one hired. He comes to us from Arizona State Parks, and after that, Sleeper State Park. He's a manager up there. This guy he's like a doctorate in parks. He's got a master's in Parks and Recreation Administration. He's got a bachelor's in Recreation Facility Management and an associate's in Business Administration / Marketing. He was out in Arizona from 97 to 2000 as a library, parks and recreation director for Avondale. He was in Maricopa County for a position out there. He managed a community services center, was a town manager. And then he was with Arizona State Parks for 6 years. His park out there was 4,000 acres, a little bigger than ours. So he brings a lot of experience. He's going to have an office here on the first floor, and he will be overseeing all the parks. He's going to have a vehicle, and we'll be traveling around the parks and taking a load off of me. So
About time, right?
we look forward to getting him. He's a Sanilac County resident. He's a native, so that's good. He wanted to get back. He was tired of the travel from Lexington up to Caseville area, about 85 miles each way every day. So he's looking forward to a new challenge. He said, we've got a couple of blank slates here that we're going to get going on probably shortly after he gets in his office. We'll be looking at some stuff for Delaware. So looking forward to that. That's, I think, the end of my report.
I forgot to mention one other thing. The Dare Track meet will be on May 1st at CPS. Deb, all the
Thank
county
you.
schools will be
Yes.
there.
What is it?
May 1st.
It's the drug task force sponsored, it used to be called the Dare Track Meet.
Yeah,
That's junior high.
junior high.
Yep.
All the schools in the county partake in it. They do a nice job. The sheriff usually says something, a judge usually says something. They have packets made up for each of the kids, and then we do track business.
There's gonna be another speaker this year that we tricked into that at the meeting yesterday. That's what he gets for missing the meeting.
Very good. Appreciate everyone's committee reports. I see no need for unfinished business. We're going to move directly into new business. And today we're going to start off with NFA 007-25, adoption of the 2025 equalization report.
Sanilac County Board of Commissioners hereby adopts the 2025 equalization report as presented with total county equalized value of $4,075,408,342 and further authorizes equalization director to make any amendments needed to the total county equalized value prior to the submission of the state tax commission.
Support.
I have a motion from Finance Chairman Sarkella, support from Commissioner Lee. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Moving on to NFA 008-25, acceptance of the 2024 annual drain report.
San Luis County Board of Commissioners hereby accepts the 2024 annual drain report as presented.
Support.
I have a motion from Finance Chairman Sarcella, support from Commissioner Heberlin. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Moving on to NFA 009-25, acceptance of the 2024 annual MSU extension report.
San Luis County Board of Commissioners hereby accepts the 2024 annual MSU extension report as presented.
Support.
Motion from Commissioner Sarcella, support from Commissioner Moody. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Moving on to FA 063-25, approval of current claims.
San Luis County Board of Commissioners hereby approves the payment of current claims identified on the accounts payable report dated April 8th, 2025 for the general bank account in the amount of $127,738.03.
Support.
I have a motion from Commissioner Sarcella, support from Commissioner Ballard. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Moving on to FA 064-25, budget adoption, amendments, appropriations, and transfers.
San Luis County Board of Commissioners hereby approves the following amendments and establishes the following accounts as listed.
Support.
I have a motion from Commissioner Sarcella, support from Commissioner Lee. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Moving on to FA 065-25, approval of additional general fund bank account checks charged to March 2025.
San Luis County Board of Commissioners hereby approves the payment of additional general fund bank account checks charged to March 2025 as follows: $532,192.54 in ACH payments, $199,734.23 in checks, or a total of $731,926.77.
Support. I have a motion from Commissioner Sarcella, support from Commissioner Heberlin. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Moving on to FA 066-25, award and authorization to purchase vehicles, Sheriff's Office.
San Luis County Board of Commissioners hereby awards and authorizes Berger Chevrolet Incorporated of Grand Rapids, Michigan, the bid for the purpose of purchasing 4 2025 Chevrolet Tahoe 9C1 police package vehicles model CK 10706 four-wheel drive 5.3 V8 VVT to be assigned to the Uniform Services Division at a cost of $53,986 each, for a total cost not to exceed $215,944 with funding from the Police Vehicle Fund for 3 of the vehicles and funding from the Road Commission for 1 of the vehicles.
Support.
I have a motion from Commissioner Sarcella, support from Commissioner Moody. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Moving on to FA 067-25, approval of MGT agreements, friend of the court, prosecutor.
San Luis County Board of Commissioners hereby approves the annual review of the renewal of the consulting services agreement with MGT of American Consulting LLC with the friend of the court and prosecutor's office for the purpose of accounting related to the Cooperative Reimbursement Program, CRP, and further ensures federal regulations are in compliance while maximizing the program. The increased rates will be effective October 1st, 2025, further authorizing the board chairman sign the necessary agreements.
Support. I have a motion from Commissioner Sarcella, support from Commissioner Heberlin. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Moving on to FA 068-25, approval of limestone agreement, Parks Commission.
San Luis County Board of Commissioners hereby approves an agreement between Evergreen Park and the Board of County Road Commissioners for the purpose of limestone patching 139 tons of 22A limestone from Wallace Quarry Pit at $35.94 a ton, with a total cost not to exceed $5,000 with funding from the Parks Millage, and further authorizes the board chairman sign the agreement.
Support. I have a motion from Commissioner Sarcella, support from Commissioner Ballard. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Moving on to FA 069-25, authorization to purchase truck box.
San Luis County Board of Commissioners hereby authorizes the purchase of a standard animal control box for a 2023 GMC 3/4 ton 8-foot bed from from Wolverine Coach Incorporated of Manitowoc, Michigan at a cost not to exceed $4,600 with funding from Motor Pool.
Support.
I have a motion from Commissioner Sarcella, support from Commissioner Moody. Is there any discussion? Nathan, any idea on the time frame to get that?
Well, I think originally when we had talked to them, they said it'd probably be 4 to 6 weeks.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Is there any further discussion related to FA 069-25? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Lastly, today under new business, we have FA 070-25, adoption of earned sick leave policy and amendment to the sick leave and benefits policies.
Stanley County Board of Commissioners hereby adopts the earned sick leave ESTA policy for regular, part-time, temporary, and seasonal employees, and to further amend the sick leave benefit policy, remove regular, part-time employees as follows.
I have a motion from Commissioner Sarcella. Is there support? Support from Commissioner Ballard. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. That will conclude new business today. At this time, I'll call for general public comments. Are there any general public comments today?
Yeah, I just want to add on with Carly's presentation. Sonic Transportation, we do work with Mary Gilbert to get fresh vegetables delivered out to Santa County residents. We get like 90 to 100 bags, Wednesdays of each day, so we hand out to persons and their names on the bus. A lot of times they got a recipe in the bag, so it tells people, how to cook, how to make the recipe with what they've got in there. I just wanted to throw that out.
Okay, thank you, Richard.
Thank you.
Is there any further public comments today? Hearing none, we're going to move on. I see no need for closed session or approval of closed session minutes. So I'll entertain a motion to adjourn our BOC meeting at 2:26 today.
I'll make that motion.
Support. I have a motion from Commissioner Lee, support from Commissioner Ballard to adjourn at 2:26. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.